Hey, here's a quick walkthrough of how to put together a simple automation that when an item gets marked as done and a secondary status meets a certain condition, then it will automatically create a new item in the to-do section, duplicate the item and move it to the to-do section. So how this works is if we go over to the table view and we add a new status, I'm just going to take the status one here and we're going to say um, duplicate. It's going to be a simple yes, no. Yes, and default is going to be no. The reason for this is that there's probably going to be items in here that you don't want to duplicate when you change the status to done. You don't want to duplicate when that happens. So the default's going to be no unless you say otherwise. So how this works is if we go into automation, click create new automation, and then say when status changes to done, and then add a condition, only if status duplicate is yes, then duplicate item, and move to group to do. So duplicates with updates because we likely want to keep that history in there as well. But you can always do it without updates if you want to. Create automation, and that's it. So now if we have a task, and we're going to put a task in here, task example 1, and we change the status to duplicate is going to be yes. Change the status to do, or actually I'm just going to do Kanban view. So we have a task example 1 is in backlog. And move this over to done. It will then create the duplicate, and it will move it over to the to-do section. Might take a second. Oh, I messed that up. It moved it to the to-do section, but it did not. Yeah, it did not change the status. So I actually need to edit that automation to change the status. Oops, change the status to do. There we go. Okay, so let's try that one more time. Test example 1. I'm going to put it back in the to do section and delete this copy. There we go. So when this task example 1 is finished, it will create a copy of it, and then it'll move it back over to do. So there we go. And then move it to done again. Whoops. Move it to done. We'll make another copy of it and move it back to do. So it'll just keep on doing that as many times as you want. And if we want to pull up another example and say this is a test or task example 2, this one does not have the setting of the duplicate. So duplicate is no. Move this over to done, and it will just stay in done, and it will not duplicate it and put it into do. So it's a super simple way of creating this automation. There are a lot of problems with it. Most of them have to do with scaling this up. But for very simple systems like this, it'll be totally fine. Just note that it'll have this copy in the title, and there's not really much you can do about it, unfortunately.